Warning, this show contains strong language and topics that some viewers may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello Suplah City and welcome to a breaking news edition of the Suplah. Holy shit, I am Andy Kwan and with me as always is Liam Dunn.
Oh, we have many things to say about this, but before we do it, you may want to introduce our third guest.
We also have Sam Brooks.
Technically, he's the second guest, or first guest, because we're the host, I don't know. Anyway, WWE, as of today... There you go, that's
I introduced Sammy.
Waiting for Liam to stop talking. Fucking brand split.
We all know he's there.
SmackDown's going live. Fucking brand split. What the fuck?
As of today, which is obviously May 25th, 2016,
So
WWE has released a press issue saying that SmackDown is going live, something that has been rumoured for a very long time, which I think has been the WWE should have done as soon as possible, really. Like, I don't know why they always tape SmackDown for this long. But the other thing is, and this is probably going to be the bulk of the conversation for this video, they have announced the brand split is officially returning. Now, before we go on to our thoughts about the brand split, let's just do a very quick history. Of course, WWE bought WCW back in 2001. I'll try and do this as quickly as I possibly can. They bought WCW and in 2001 and ECW went out of business, and so they got a lot of those talents. WWE didn't officially acquire ECW until 2003, but they got a lot of the talents because obviously they were jobless. So they did the invasion angle, where pretty much WCW and ECW's Z teams invaded and lost to WWE's A mega list stars, whatever.
star.
Yeah. So after the invasion angle finished, we go into early 2002. The world titles have been unified into the undisputed title, and WWE has a lot of people on their roster. So they thought, well, let's just split the brands. We have Raw, we have SmackDown. Let's just treat them as if they're completely separate products. They're not symbiotic. They're completely different. So they created the brand split. Certain stars would appear on Raw, certain stars would appear on SmackDown. At first, there was only two people that were exempt from that rule, which was the Undisputed Champion and the Women's Champion. They could appear on both. Eventually, the World Championship got undisputed. Is that word? No, undisputed. That's it.
You mean disputed?
There you go.
Fucking idiot!
The world title got disputed, so Raw had the World Heavyweight Championship, which was the WCW old big gold belt design, which I still absolutely love. And Brock Lesnar was on SmackDown with the undisputed, now disputed WWE Championship. So we go on like that for a couple of years, and eventually WWE then says, okay, we're going to do separate brand pay-per-views. And that lasts for about 3 or 4 years, and WWE realises that it's not a really viable thing because people don't want to see that. Basically a 3-hour Raw. Who knew? So eventually they brought back they made all pay-per-views split brand. And at one point also ECW came back, but we may not as well mention that. Yeah. But eventually they slowly started to bring it in. They started to stop the brand split. The first major sign was that they unified the tag team belts. Obviously Raw had its own belts, SmackDown had their own belts, and they got unified thanks to the Colognes, I believe. They were the first ones to unify the belts. And then they started promoting Raw as a super show, which meant that SmackDown stars could appear on it. And then I think the real final nail in the coffin for the brand split was when they unified the world titles. That was basically the official, that's it,
but
it's over.
Even
Same
before then, people were just appearing on both shows anyway, unless your name was John Cena.
Yeah, that's pretty much true. But I'm trying to condense it as quickly as I can, you see. There's obviously much more detail about the brand split. But since around 2012, really, I think is arguably the point where everyone says that that's it, it was over. WWE has been just kind of using their stars when they want. And it's benefited Raw, arguably, because everyone can appear on Raw. But it's really diminished SmackDown, because SmackDown is now... Well, I'll explain this in a bit with my thoughts, but SmackDown is basically the B show. It's where the main eventers don't really show up. You know, you have to fight to get The Rock or Brock Lesnar. Like, they really make it a special announcement that Brock Lesnar is going to be on SmackDown. Well, Brock Lesnar's World Heavyweight Champion. He should be on SmackDown. What the fuck? What do you mean that's a special announcement?
Like Paul Heyman on the documentary about his life, he even said that SmackDown is Raw's bitch.
Oh, yeah. It's without a doubt. So, this is why I'm a little bit surprised by the brand split. So let's kind of start discussing our thoughts about, obviously, the new brand split, starting with, let's go to Andy. Let's have his thoughts.
Okay, SmackDown going live is good, because SmackDown's always been taped. Even back in the Attitude Era it was taped. But then again, the internet wasn't as, prevalent, so you could get away with it. Now, spoilers go out as soon as it's done. And
not even that, when it's going off, when it's happening.
Yeah, it needed to be live for years, and finally they've done it. Thank God for that. But on the downside, they have a brand split now for some reason, even though, let's put it this way. Over the past year, we have had people retire because of injuries, been out for a very long time because of injuries, wellness shit. You don't have a roster. Why in God's name are you splitting them up? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Sorry, just to jump in with what Andy said. Within the past, let's say, 6 weeks, we've lost 3 wrestlers in Wade Barrett, Cody Rhodes, and Adam Rose. Now, I know Adam Rose wasn't a big player, but nevertheless...
You need people!
Those 3, 2 of them left for creative frustrations, and 1 got fired because he hit his wife. He left. He requested...
Allegedly!
So, yeah, no, they don't really have a roster, but sorry, continue.
Yeah, and that's kind of the issue. It's like, you don't have a roster, so why are you doing this? And here's the thing, so, how is this going to work? So Raw's going to be 3 hours, and SmackDown's going to be 2? That doesn't make sense. What the fuck?
Why doesn't that make sense?
They need to be the same amount of hours then, don't they? So what, SmackDown's going to be 3 hours? Is Raw going to go back to 2 hours? What is happening?
What's difficult to understand about that, Andy? One show is 3 hours, one show is 2 hours. They're different shows. They have different writing teams. They have different casts of characters.
God, the only plus side to the brand split was, for a while, SmackDown was better than Raw. So if this helps SmackDown and helps people watch SmackDown, great. But it would have been better if they had more people. I don't know what the fuck they're gonna do. I don't know. I mean, what are we going to have, mass call-ups from NXT? What are we going to do? I don't know. Help. Jesus, what the fuck are they doing?
Sam, let's have your thoughts.
Okay, no more SmackDown spoilers. I'm okay with this. No more piped-in crowd noises. Very helpful. Yeah. The hairdryer pops are forever taken out of the plug socket. I'm pretty sure TNA's on Tuesdays.
No, they are going head-to-head with... I think it's the last hour of Impact. I could be wrong.
Well, by TNA, you got that. Obviously, it's going to be less strain on the talents, because if you're only working SmackDowns, then you're not working multiple Raws. I assume the workload will be less for these people. It gives the opportunity to add prestige to, say, the Intercontinental title, because, say, World Champion appears on Raw, IC title can be that level of belt for SmackDown. If they write it so, I think that's entirely possible. Yeah, a couple of bad things being, of course, the roster might be spread a bit thin. I don't think it's as barren as you're making it out to be, bearing in mind there are several talents that don't get screen time on Raw nowadays, so they could easily thrive on SmackDown.
Oh, okay, yeah. So they're going head-to-head with Impact in the final hour of SmackDown. So, SmackDown will be going into its second hour, TNA will be going into its first.
First and only hour.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Impact's a 1 hour show, is it not?
No, it's 2 hour.
2 hours.
Oh, well, fuck Impact, right?
Yeah, that's fucked.
So that's a good thing. I now see why they're trying to make Darren Young great again. He's going to build a wall between Raw and SmackDown and have Raw pay for it. That now finally makes sense.
That does actually make sense. It's a good character link there.
Yeah. Tuesdays, better day. Now like I say, with the SmackDown spoilers, they come out on the Tuesdays anyway. Then you have to wait a couple of days for Thursday to come around, and then you see it. Now it's there, it's out, it's good. And the fact that it's 2 hours means that, hey, I don't have to watch Raw anymore. If the SmackDown is better than Raw, if they have the right talents, if they have the right storylines, I could just easily watch SmackDowns and fuck Raw.
Money in the Bank is next month.
Yes.
What? So are they can they cash in on any champion? Are they gonna split the belts again? What the fuck are they gonna do?
Well, there's only
that-
one champion to cash in on.
Yeah.
They're not going to split the world title into two. Which, to
Especially
be
if they
honest,
just merged them.
yeah, right. So that'll be
You
fine.
say that, but there was a shorter period of time between when they merged the titles in late 2001 and then split it up in September 2002. It was
That's
only
true.
9 months that we had an quote-unquote undisputed champion. At least right now, we've had an undisputed champion for about 3 years.
Yeah. And for me, I'd rather it stay that way because, to be honest, there's only one world champion. If you're going to look at it in the terms of kayfabe, I know there's 5 different promotions with prestigious world championships, but WWE's World Heavyweight Championship should be the top belt. There shouldn't be 2 top belts. There should just be 1. That's how it should be.
So I want to kind of jump in with my thoughts. So I just want to kind of go to something that Sam said, which is lighter workloads. And I don't actually think that's true. I think it will still be the same workload regardless. Experience and past history has taught us that even if WWE has a show, television show going out, that the another brand, or as what they would call the split, basically what I'm trying to say is that for as long as I can remember, no matter what, if there was a TV show, there was potentially a house show going on somewhere else with the B team. For example, when they do a European show over here, they split the wrestlers up. They split the characters up, and someone will be on the Roman Reigns side of the tour, and someone would be on the Bray Wyatt side of the tour, as an example. So, here's an example again. They were doing a show in London, and it was a television show, but they had a house show going on in Cardiff. Anyway, at last minute, they write in the Shield onto the London show. So the Shield has to wrestle in Cardiff, and then as soon as they finish, they had to get a helicopter to London to be at the show. So
They did look badass them flying in there.
Yes, but I don't think that means that their workload will lift. I think that the Raw guys will have a house show on Tuesday, because WWE is just that greedy. So yes, I think we've already said that a live SmackDown would work. So going back, I became a fan when the original brand split came in, and when it started, I thought it was actually a good idea. And looking back, it was a good idea.
Yeah,
because you had the characters split up. So Raw was very much its own product, and SmackDown was very very much its own product, and it kind of felt like it. Surprisingly, I'm going to go against what these two have said. Even when there was 2 world titles, I thought that was actually better because it felt like 2 different shows. Even when you had someone like Undertaker, who was the undisputed champion, and he was feuding with, let's say, Triple H, who was a SmackDown star, well, on Raw he wouldn't really have anything to do. So it felt kind of like, well, what's the point of having him on Raw when he's feuding with a SmackDown star, but he's on Raw, and the SmackDown star can't appear on Raw? Do you know what I mean? But regardless, it felt like there was 2 different shows. For example, anyone who watched SmackDown in 2002 would know the SmackDown 6 of Kurt Angle, Benoit, Eddie, Chavo, Edge, and Ray, who put on phenomenal matches constantly for weeks and weeks. So I think it can work. But I don't really... Unlike back then, I don't understand the point of why we need one. Really.
Shake things up.
Yeah,
Do it for the sake of it.
I don't know. I just don't... I just don't see the point.
I don't see the point.
Well, the thing is that I know Sam was making fun of Andy for the whole... Raw's 3 hours, SmackDown's 2 hours, and Sam saying, well, that doesn't matter. No, I think it does matter.
Yeah. Because
the thing is that Raw is clearly the A show, right? And has always been the A show. Since around 2004, 2005, WWE has seen Raw as its flagship show and SmackDown as the B team. Like Andy said, Paul Heyman basically came out and said that's how WWE treated it. As a fan, I didn't think it was quite that bad up until the point where they clearly put Raw over more. In around sort of 2005. For example, they had the Money in the Bank ladder match at WrestleMania 21 that no SmackDown star was allowed in. This, to me, really makes it feel like SmackDown doesn't matter. Like, Raw has the 3 hours, and I'm not saying that having 3-hour Raws is good. It should go back to 2 hours. But it does feel like there's an unfair leverage. And really, ever since 2005, SmackDown has always been felt like the B show. Batista always said that he felt like SmackDown was the B show. And will it really change? Is my question.
Well, they could easily make SmackDown into SmarkDown, depending on the roster that they give to SmackDown. It entirely depends on how they do this. I mean, yes, it could go the way that you're saying, but there's also the equal chance that it is actually better this time around.
I think if they can treat it better, I just don't think SmackDown has come across as being a show that has been needed to watch. Let's take this example. This past year's WrestleMania, right? The week leading into WrestleMania, like the week going into the Sunday, Raw naturally was live and had a genuinely normal show. SmackDown, on the other hand, was treated kind of like an amped up version of Superstars. It had about 3 matches in the 2 hours, and most of it was Renee Young and Byron Saxton from the AT&T Center talking about how great WrestleMania is. That is not really a great way to me to see SmackDown as a brand. Because if they're not treating it like a genuine show that matters, then why should the audience?
I've got to go for 2 seconds.
Great. Well, I think this brand split is actually the first step into giving SmackDown a bit more of a legitimate feel. For example, it's said in their statement that it's going to have a dedicated team of writers to write these new storylines for SmackDown. And of course, it is not entirely down to storylines to make people care about SmackDown. It's down to presentation, it's down to the time, how many matches there are, how many promos there are. So, to be honest, yeah, SmackDown for the longest time has been the B show, but if they're serious about this brand split, which, for all intents and purposes, didn't really need to happen, they must be doing it for a reason. And I think that's to make SmackDown a bit more important.
Well, here's another thing, because they're saying that they want to treat, like, they want to really show that SmackDown's a different brand, like it's a completely different product to Raw. That's basically what they said in their press release. So, I really hope, and I know it's such a nitpicky thing to focus on, but I think it really matters because you mentioned presentation. I really hope that SmackDown gets its own stage. It needs its own stage. Raw and SmackDown have shared the same stage since 2008, and yes, that stage in general has been revamped and reimagined and redesigned, and I get that, but the fact of the matter is that Raw physically and SmackDown physically look the exact same, except for the colour scheme. But everything is the exact same. And I
Bring
feel
back
that
the red and blue rope.
I genuinely think that Raw and SmackDown, you can keep that like epic stage for Raw if you want, but SmackDown needs a new stage. Now, I'm not saying it needs to be the Ovaltron, despite Andy probably going to have a jizz over it, but it doesn't need to be the Ovaltron, it doesn't need to be the Fist, it just needs to be its own product. Because if it looks similar to Raw, what's the point?
Agreed. It is definitely down to that as well. If you're going to have these things that are now, by their words, 2 different shows, they need to look different. Even if it's something as small as having blue ring ropes. I think the stage just needs to be... I think they could go for a slightly toned down version. Not going full NXT and just having a black stage with a screen there with the logo on it. Just have something to bridge the gap between the quality of NXT and Raw to give it that its own unique feeling.
Well, that's the thing. I think one of the reasons why NXT. I always get it confused for some reason. Not confused, but for some reason I always mix up the names. The thing is, I think the reason why NXT works, obviously the characters are good and the wrestling is good, but the other reason why it works is because it feels different. It looks different. The audience is different. SmackDown and Raw, you don't really tell a difference. Like, you only can tell what show you're watching due to the colour scheme, and I don't think that's really enough to pull off a different brand. That's like saying, oh, there's 2 Batmans in the universe, but one's just slightly greyer.
Yeah, you need to completely overhaul it. It just doesn't look, different enough.
Take Raw, make it Batman. Take SmackDown, make it Robin.
There you go. But I just wonder if the talents are going to be happy with that, because Raw's still going to be seen as the A show, and I don't care what WWE says. They're saying, oh no, it's going to be equal. No, it's not. Raw's 3 hours, SmackDown's 2 hours. We know where your loyalties lie. If one of them had to be booted off the network, you're going to vote, let's get rid of SmackDown and keep Raw, right? I just want them to treat SmackDown like it's a different show, like they did in 2002 or 2003. It felt like a different show. It was different storylines, different characters, different championships, and at one point even different pay-per-views. Okay, that didn't quite work. I'm not defending that, but it needs to be treated like its own entity, not like the Raw diet, basically.
Raw
Diet
replay.
Raw. Yeah. And that's the other thing. SmackDown always has like a 5-minute segment dedicated to the Raw replay, right? That needs to go.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Right? If it's its own product, why are we looking at what happened on the other product?
Yeah.
No, it's got to be gone.
Hopefully they, bear this stuff in mind.
But my question is, and I'll go back to my first question, why now? We've heard rumours of this happening for quite a good number of months, and we all thought it would be after WrestleMania, and it never happened. So we thought that the ideas had been scrapped. But now they're bringing it back, and it's in the middle of summer, just before going into Money in the Bank.
No, it's going to be in July, so it's going to be after Money in the Bank.
Okay, regardless, it's still in the middle of summer.
It'll be before SummerSlam. To be honest, it's a case of poor planning.
Yeah.
Could have easily done this after WrestleMania, but for some reason, it's only just clicked in their head, oh, hang on, everyone who's injured is coming back now. Fuck. What do we do with all of these people? Brand split now. Fuck it. Go. Mush.
Again, going back to the original brand split in 2002, that happened 2 weeks, 8 days after WrestleMania 18.
Could have done that this year, maybe.
But do we think that this brand split will last?
Will it last? Hopefully.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can really say. It's just we've just got the news. We haven't got many details about it yet. I think it remains to be seen.
It depends if people don't get hurt.
We gotta hope for the best.
Yep.
In the injury era.
We'll just have to see.
And I think on that note, we should finally wrap this up. This was a bit longer than I expected, but of course there was a lot to say. There was 3 of us, so it is what it is.
Big fucking news, to be fair.
We will see what happens with the brand split when it happens in just a few months, maybe a few weeks, and what WWE plans to do going forward.